Thunderbolts is the 36th entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is the final film in Phase 5, and surprisingly, not too much homework is required to enjoy this. It helps if you've seen these films, but unlike some of the other films in this franchise, it doesn't really matter too much what level your degree in Marvel is. This is directed by Jake Schreier, known for Robot and Frank and Paper Towns, but more recently, he did the TV series Beef. And what we have here is a group of anti-heroes that have to step in, as it were, in the absence of the Avengers. I will leave out how all this comes to be to avoid any spoilers, and don't worry, there's plenty of exposition in this film to keep you up to speed on everything that's going on. Let's start with the main headline here. The MCU is not in a great state right now. And to be honest, since Spider-Man No Way Home, I myself have lost interest. I've not seen a lot of films in this phase. I didn't see Captain America earlier this year. I've had very little interest to. But as the reviews started coming in for Thunderbolts, more and more praise was getting handed out, so I decided to give this one a go. And is this the MCU's return to the glory days? No. Is it a return to form? Perhaps. The tried and true formula is here, but it feels a little less dusty. This is a fairly grounded, well-rounded, solid film, which balances its tone and more mature themes relatively well. It's a film that is focused on the past, with characters that are filled with regret. The film provokes us with their demons and bad decisions, but this makes them feel like they are characters with more flesh and bone, more than your typical Marvel movie does. Well, maybe not ghost, but you can feel their inner struggles and the loneliness. There is a slightly more delicate touch here, and the story is developed in a more interesting way than I was expecting. And the cast are great. I'm a big fan of Veep. It's always great to watch Julia Louis-Dreyfus in a presidential role, and even though she isn't given particularly good dialogue, she still has fun with it. David Harbour is the scene stealer and brings the humour in great fashion. And I will say, Sebastian Stan isn't given much to do here as Bucky, and he did feel a bit bored and uninterested most of the time. But Florence Pugh is the main focus here, and she is as watchable as ever. She really is one of those actors that elevates any material they are given, and this is no exception. And she really did do the opening stunt of the film, where she jumps off the second tallest building in the world. And let's talk about the opening, because the opening of this film introduces us to all of this film's strengths. In a fantastic 5-minute sequence, which is a fun reintroduction to Florence Pugh's character, the choreography and the stunt work is amazing. The cinematography has a bit more of a flourish to it as well. And there's also some great lighting work, there's a lot more style to some of the sequences here. Even the music is more interesting than your typical superhero fanfare. Everything is here. It's just that little bit better than perhaps you were expecting. So far so good. There's a lot to love here. There's a lot to like more than there is to dislike. So what are the downsides? Well, after a pretty great first act, decent second act, the film struggles with its third act. The pacing starts to drag and the CGI becomes more heavily implemented. At just over 2 hours, I think you can easily shave off 10 minutes and tighten up the final battle here. The Marvel need to wrap everything up in a neat little bow does get in the way of some of the more important thematic moments in the final scenes. But I won't spoil anything. There are also a few meta nods to the franchise's current fatigue, which perhaps doesn't help its case when your central character is struggling with boredom. We're not quite at the stage of all-out parody like, say, The Boys, but it does feel like a step closer. But the emotion is here, and even if the story struggles to land in its final moments, the sentiments here will make you feel something. This film feels like it cares about its characters, so it makes us want to. I don't know if the 36th film in the franchise cracks the top 10, but it's a solid and enjoyable watch. The formula is alive and kicking all the extras in the face. There's plenty of nods, references, and artifacts here for the Marvel devotees, and plenty of great action for those who just want to be entertained. So, Thunderbolts isn't quite the shock to the MCU that Marvel may have hoped for, but instead, it's rather, once more, with feeling. I'm going with a low 7 out of 10 on this one, and that's all I have to say for now. So thank you very much for watching.